Alrighty, good evening and welcome to the Resilient Living Podcast. I'm Jared Wilson, joined by my friend Ryan Steva.
Hey, everybody.
Alrighty, so while we're waiting for people to peter on in here, my product is rather specifically chosen, honestly. A hori hori. Okay, so this is something I sell in the shop, and if you're not familiar with a hori hori, this is a Japanese gardener's knife, and I love them. I think they're fantastic. Basically, what you end up with is a serrated blade on one side to cut through roots and twine and whatever you might need to hack through. They're fairly hefty, so you can actually hack. The other side, you got your regular plain blade, got your bottle opener for whatever beverages you might want to bring into the garden. It's actually cupped. Let's see if I can show how it's actually curved. So it's basically functionally like a trowel, and then they put these little marks in there so you have delineation. So 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches. So if you're digging a hole of specific depth, you have your thing, and you can just put it on your belts, and away you go. So a hori hori,
Yeah.
it's a good product.
It's a trowel or a spade with some extra benefits, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you
Yeah.
got lots of benefits, really. I mean, and then this one specifically is got like walnut handle on it. It's really nice. Got a nice curve to it. It's really comfortable, and you can wail on something. So something
Self-defense mechanism.
something about like the gardener at war versus a soldier in the garden. I don't know.
There's some philosophical things
There's
to
something in there, yeah.
about.
Right.
Yeah.
All
What do you want
right.
to cover today, Jared?
So this is this comes from my ignorance rather than my arrogance. So we're at the gardening store, buying seedlings and plants, and I'm looking around. I'm like, I know that there are certain plants that you one shouldn't plant together, and two that actually benefit from each other. And so I come home, I start doing, some research, and I was like, wait a minute, this is a perfect thing to talk about because I don't know diddly about it, and you might know, I know you know more than I do. So that's
Yeah,
what.
we'll see.
That's what I see.
You've now studied, so you might know more than me.
Oh no. There's AI can only go so far, right?
That's right. But it helps, gets you
Yeah, it
there
does.
a little quicker.
Well, yeah, and we talked about that a couple of weeks ago. We're talking about using AI for doing research, and this was a perfect example. I popped it into Grok and said, "Hey, which plants do I plant together? Which ones don't I plant together?" And it actually, sent out not just results, but like results with where it drew the information from, which was great because then I could go back to where it pulled that information and get more information.
Okay.
Perfect use.
Yeah, that's a great use. And like when you got that information, what would you say was like the most surprising thing about what you got back?
Um, as far as like, so one of the
What
things
should
that
be planted together? What shouldn't be planted together? Was there anything that really like stood out? Like, oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, actually, yeah. So one of the things I've got fairly, dense clay soil, especially where I'm cutting my new garden in, and I was like, oh yeah. So like the rooting things like carrots and onions, they're not going to do well because it's so dense. But then in doing the research, I was like, no. That's what opens up the soil and allows the water penetration and allows. I was like, oh, I was thinking about this backwards. Oh crap. It's like, okay, good thing I did the research.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in like cover crops and things like that, like
Yes.
you wouldn't necessarily think of cover crops as a companion planting because
Right.
you kill it off in the spring or it kills off on its dies off on its own. But in a way, they're a companion plant because they're putting those roots down in and giving that biological life along with the pathway for the water before you even start putting your plants in. So in one way, they're a companion plant, but they're not necessarily alive at the same time as your other plants.
And that was another one that I thought is, "Sup, dude?"
What's going on, Tim? Just saw him this weekend.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, he's
Um,
putting out some great videos.
yeah,
Anyways.
he has. I've been totally digging it. Hey, gotta make sure you follow me so that I can, tag you and stuff. Um, so shameless plug, follow me. No, gosh darn it, what was I gonna oh, cover crops.
Yeah.
Is timing. I hadn't really considered. It's like, oh yeah, some plants pop up earlier than other plants, and they'll shade them. So when you plant things really is important if you're doing, especially if it like a denser population where you've got lots of things growing. Okay, so like one of the things I was looking into So our garden area is like 30 foot by 35 foot. And, but we're gonna have walkways in the middle. And so right
Mhm.
now, bare dirt. But like I was thinking about, I was like you could do like clover. Like that'd be kind of fun to walk on and then like
Yeah.
fodder for the, critters when we get rabbits. Like would that I mean, is that a legit kind of a cover
Y
crop? Like
Sure. Yeah, it can be. It requires a certain amount of management
yeah,
and some way to kind of kill off where you're gonna be starting other things, because if you leave it, it can actually, anything that's in the ground before your other plants are,
right.
it can kind of outcompete those
Yeah, it's
temporarily until they
established.
get large enough. Yeah.
Sure.
So the way you might do that is you might have a cover crop or a clover cropping system in your garden, and then on the row where you want to plant, you might run cardboard and then wood chips and cut out and basically allow that to sit for a little while to kill off the clover, and then plant your plants. And so you have
Sure.
that row where that clover, and killing off the clover is actually important because the nitrogen nodules that are on the
Yeah.
clover from the nitrogen fixation,
Yeah.
those don't really fully release until you actually kill off or cut down the plant in some way.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
So, yeah,
Okay.
you can do it. I've seen people do it, but it can be, since especially like white clovers and things tend to creep and grow, it can cause some issues for you in the future. So,
As far as
yeah,
being invasive to the area, like
yeah,
creeping into your garden area?
yeah, kind of. It can make management of plants, and this is one of the areas where cover or not cover cropping, but um, companion planting can become an issue for people. Is that as you plant a bunch of plants close together, it can be tough to tell what's a weed and what's not, and to do
Right.
it in the right timing so
Sure.
that everything becomes coherent in a way that's useful.
Sure. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and clover can be that as well.
Right. Yeah. Oh, we got comments about the Three Sisters. So yeah, so the Three Sisters is absolutely one of the ones that I saw, and I'd actually been aware of that one before, doing corns, beans, and squash. Um, yeah, that is absolutely in what we're talking about. So one of the ones that I came across was scented things because the smells can either repel or attract different species. So
Mhm.
some things you want, I call them trap crops. They attract certain critters away from your specific vegetables, right? I was like,
Yeah.
that's brilliant. That makes perfect sense, though. And so having these trap crops interspersed with or a barrier to your garden area, that's awesome.
Yeah. Tell me what some of the trap crops you've come across are in your
Um, s-
research.
so marigolds were like really high on that list of crops to help to what was it? It deterred nematodes.
Mhm.
What's a nematode? A
So a
worm?
nematode is, think of like a really tiny worm.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
And most people think nematodes are all bad, and they're not. There are some nematodes that are beneficial.
Okay.
So it's a balance, but most of them are
Oh.
problematic.
Okay. So is Marigold gonna keep all of them away, including the good ones?
Not necessarily. I'm not entirely sure if it's going to affect the beneficial ones. I don't think it's going to keep actual like earthworms and some of the larger worm species away. I think those are going to still function in the garden.
Right, right. Okay. Cool, cool, cool.
Yep.
Nasturtium attracts the aphids away. Is it Nasturtium? Is that how you pronounce that?
Nasturtium.
Nasturtium. There we
Yeah.
go. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So they attract aphids away from other plants because I know in other gardens we've done, it just got decimated by aphids. Hate the little buggers. So having something that can attract them away. So that was one of those trap crops. It's like that's cool.
Yes. Yeah. So we've got a couple of comments.
Marigolds.
Marigolds
Yeah.
are bug
Hey mom.
repellents. Yep. And that they're really good for chickens too. Yeah. So marigolds, I haven't dug into it enough. I know some of them are edible both for humans and for chickens. I'm
Sweet.
not sure if it's all varieties, but they're supposed to be beneficial for like was said here, good for chickens in most cases. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. They're a general deterrent for a lot of things, but nasturtiums, which you mentioned, yeah, they're more appetizing to aphids,
Yeah.
and so they will generally draw them away. And then if you can bring in other things that will eat aphids, like stick bugs or praying mantises or other creatures that or especially the native ladybugs.
Oh, the actual ladybugs, not the
Mhm.
little invasive buggers that we
Yeah.
got now.
The invasive ones will do it too, but I don't know how much you want to get them in your garden or
Right.
encourage them. And the native ones, I've been shocked. Every garden I've set up, I've started to see the native ones start to show up again.
Awesome. That's
So
super cool.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Basil. Basil is another one, which I love basil because I love basil. And so then that means it's, beneficial and wonderfully edible.
Yeah. Just about all herbs are going to give you some type of deterrent of certain things.
Yeah,
So
and that's what I said. Like the smells are either deterrent or attractant to critters. I was like, that
yep.
makes sense
Yeah.
why it has a smell to it.
Yeah, Michael says that the digestion support or marigolds aid in digestion, support immune system, and darken the yolks of chicken eggs. So
Interesting. Well, Mike would definitely know about that. He knows chickens really well.
yeah, that's good info, and I think it's generally true. I just don't remember. I started digging into it at one point, and I was like, I can't tell if all marigolds are beneficial or if it's there's certain types that are and certain types that aren't. So,
Sure, sure.
and I don't want to be giving away misinformation on the interwebs.
Right. So basil near tomatoes can reduce thrips. That
Mhm.
okay. I'm assuming that's a disease or a critter.
It's a critter.
Is a critter? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Unless I'm wrong, I mean, somebody can correct me. I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure that's a critter.
Cool.
Yep.
It also attracts beneficial insects like ladybugs, lacewings, predatory wasps to eat the pests. So it's a win-win. Like that's awesome.
Yeah. You know those red wasps that,
I hate
here in
those
Tennessee, people are like, oh, they're the worst ever, or they're super aggressive. I was watching one once. I was in my garden, I'm watching one, and I just kind of watch it flutter over to a leaf or buzz over to a leaf or whatever. And all of a sudden I noticed that it found a little caterpillar that was eating my tomato,
Yeah.
grabbed it, took it away. Yeah.
Hey. Okay,
So
so they're not so horrible.
no, and the reality is they're not horrible unless you stumble upon their nest or, disturb their nest in some way.
Yeah, valid.
Yeah.
I get
So
pissed
things
off if
like
somebody breaks into my house. So yeah.
right. And they don't know what your intent is. So,
Right.
if they're living out in the woods and you see one coming into your garden, it doesn't care. It's not going to try to sting you because you're not threatening its
Mm,
nest. So,
sure.
um, the one type of hornet I'm really not a fan of is the ground dwelling yellow jackets.
Oh, those are the
Um,
ones that like burrow down into the ground and build their nests?
yeah, because if
Yeah.
you accidentally come across those with your mower, they will just swarm you and they won't stop.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
thank you. Mm-mm.
Yep. I've run over their nests a few times and it was not pleasant.
No, that wouldn't be. Hey, Vic, what's up, bro? Tim's really happy we had tarantula hawks. W-
Sure.
I'm terrified. What in the world is that? Now I have to.
Tarantula hawks, he says wasps. Interesting. Take that wasps that take huge spiders.
Oh
Interesting.
my gosh, that's no. That's up there with some of the copperheads and things that we've got around here. No. Mm-mm.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, I mean, wasps really do take they're a beneficial insect to us. They do a lot of great things. It's just when they start building hives on your house and you walk outside and you're a threat to them,
Yeah, sure.
that's when it becomes an issue. So,
Dang, that's the second worst thing in the wasps fan. Ow. Okay, that's
the red ones, I assume, or the yellow jackets. I'm not sure what she means. If you want to clarify, Michael, we'll talk a bit more about it. But yeah, the worst ones I've found are those mostly black, but have some like red the wasps that are mostly black but have some red,
Yeah.
they'll like make your entire like if they sting you in the
They'll
arm, they'll make
swell
your
up,
yeah, and it'll like
your
your
joints
muscles
hurt,
will get hard
and
and
yeah,
yep.
nasty suckers. He also said, oh, I want to grab this one before it went away. Um, okay, so grandmother used black pepper on the garden plants to drive away cutworms and aphids. That's
Interesting.
an interesting one. I
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's again the smell. Could be a deterrent.
Mhm. Well, and another thing to mention is that aphids, there's a couple of reasons aphids tend to come in. One is the plants are stressed
Sure.
and they're concentrating, basically they're stressed and so the aphids are doing a job. They're getting rid of a stressed plant is what their job is in nature. And the other thing that can happen is sometimes if you have too high of nitrogen without balanced minerals,
Ooh.
they can go for whatever reason they'll attack that plant. So I think it was Stefan Sapoviak was the orchardist out of Canada
Okay.
was talking about he's trying to help somebody troubleshoot this lady troubleshoot why her specific tree, I think it was a pear tree or something, one was always getting aphids. And so he's asking all these questions, and eventually, her husband comes along and says something like, "Oh, my pea tree," meaning it's the tree that he always goes to to pee on
Oh,
outside. So this tree is getting just blasted constantly with nitrogen,
right.
and
Oh,
it's which
dude, that's
creates
funny.
the environment where they're going to come in, the aphids are going to come in and specifically attack that tree. So, and of course, we have a tendency to amend our gardens with high nitrogen, and that can cause
Sure.
the same problem. So,
So we can almost, yeah, we can induce the problem that we're trying to alleviate. Oh, that sounds exactly like what we would do. Um,
yeah,
okay,
I
it
mean,
was the
when
tarantula hawk. He said it
what's
was.
that?
He said
Tarantula.
the second worst sting is the tarantula hawk.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Thing.
the wasp called a tarantula
No,
hawk.
thank
I've
you.
never heard of that before, so
No,
I'll have to look it up after the show.
right.
So
So
what?
yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So I looked into the natural repellents and the trap, plants. But then we got into like soil health and improving soil health and fertility by putting the nutrients back in. And we talked a little bit about like nitrogen fixers, right? So
Mhm.
legumes, so beans, peas, and clover fix it through those root nodules. So you said that they don't really release that nitrogen until they die, right?
Yeah, so or, there's some other circumstances if you cut them back, they tend to release the nitrogen.
Okay.
Um, let's take a bean, for example.
Okay.
If you plant a bean, the bean plant will basically, pull atmospheric nitrogen. It uses a bacteria that is a symbiote with it to pull that nitrogen down into the soil, and then it'll put it on these kind of nodules. They're visibly noticeable nodules under the ground. But what happens is when that bean plant, it puts out, its flower, and that flower turns into an actual bean. And as it's fruiting with that bean, the basically the plant uses the nitrogen that it put into the ground.
Oh,
So the plant, a nitrogen fixer will use the nitrogen that it puts in the ground unless you do something to interrupt that cycle.
sure.
And
Okay.
then it will leave it or kind of drop the roots and the nodules in the soil.
Into the soil,
Yep.
providing the nitrogen for other plants.
Yeah. So let's say we're using, let's actually jump over to an orchard instead of a garden.
Okay.
And we've got let's say we're using thornless honey locust between orchard trees,
Yeah.
which are, they'll produce a pod, like it looks like a bean pod.
Yeah.
And if you eat their flowers, especially like black locust, if you eat the flowers in the spring, like a couple of weeks ago for us here in Tennessee,
Yeah.
they taste like really sweet like bean pods.
Right.
Anyways, don't eat the seed pods. I think they're toxic, but
Oh,
once they've developed. But if I take a thornless honey locust and I put it in an orchard, if I just let it grow like crazy, it's not going to give me much benefit as far as nitrogen fixation. And then it's going to start shading out those other trees in my orchard.
ooh, okay.
However, If I coppice it, which means I cut it off at the ground level, maybe once a year or, once every other year,
Okay.
what that does is now I have chop and drop high nitrogen leaves and things to put on the ground.
Ooh,
Um, and it never shades those trees. But what it really does is it forces the tree, because I've just chopped it down to the ground. Now
right.
it can't support that root mass. So it drops some of the roots, which have the nitrogen nodules on it.
Nice.
So
So
that
it's a
kind of,
sacrificial, plant almost. So
yeah.
that doesn't completely kill it though. That it'll
Mm.
regrow the next year.
Yeah, and it'll just keep cycling and doing the same thing, and the tree itself will actually see basically that it's being regenerated at a much younger age.
Okay.
And so you can coppice and pollarding is where you cut higher as opposed to at the ground level is called
Oh, right.
coppicing.
Right.
And you could pollard these trees as well. You could manage them either way, but what happens is when you cut them off like that, basically the tree resets its genetic code. It goes back to a earlier in that cycle, and you can do this for thousands of years, and that tree will continue to grow because it's being basically reset over and over again,
Nice.
and it will grow fast because it's pulling nitrogen out of the air, um, and it's got a root system already. But then you're basically just constantly cutting it, causing the roots to pull back a bit, leaving the nitrogen for the other plants. So it's a really cool cycle.
Heck yeah. And so that seems like that'd be a okay. So going back to the garden versus the orchard, so you said the beans were a good one, but you want to
Mhm.
be able to grow the beans and eat the beans. So is that where the what was the other one? Um the nitrogen fixer, clover. Is that
Mhm.
where clover comes in? Where so how do you kill off the clover to release that nitrogen then?
That's where, if you're growing clover, especially, maybe you plant it in the fall and you've got it, like white clover will stick around through the winter.
Right.
So maybe a little later in the spring when you're ready to start planting, you put down a bed of cardboard, and
Oh,
that's,
okay. And just
and
kill
so
it off.
yeah, kill it off. You could use a flamethrower for, a
Sweet.
weed flamer. And what people don't understand about those is when you use a uh, flamethrower essentially for killing off weeds, you don't just sit there burning down the weed. You basically just kind of sweep over it a little bit, and within a couple of days, that plant will die off. So you can
Oh,
do
yeah,
that with
because
clover.
you're just searing off and cauterizing all of those pores that would be sucking up, and yeah, it's gonna die.
Yep. Yeah. So it takes a couple of days, but at first it doesn't look like you did much of anything.
Right, right.
But most people think you need to sit there and burn the thing down to the ground, and you don't. So yeah, there's other ways of killing off the clover or other plants that you might plant.
If a critter were to eat it, like, say, I let my rabbits run amok or goats or something, would that work?
they'll they'll eat it down to the ground. Typically, there will be a root left.
Okay.
Um, and that's true a lot of the time. I wouldn't be too worried about killing off all the clover in your system, if that's what you're using as your nitrogen fixer.
Okay. And is there a difference between was it white and crimson clovers?
Yeah. So there's white. Generally speaking, there's white, red, and crimson.
Okay.
Um, White is white, and there's several varieties of it. It's going to be a much lower growing
Oh, okay.
clover, and
Yeah.
typically used if you're doing like a lawn alternative or something.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
going to be white clover
Real
because it,
yeah, short.
yep, doesn't get too tall. Um, Red clover is actually kind of a purplish pink,
Hmm.
and it's quite a bit larger and is generally used for remediation and benefits in pastures because it gets a lot taller. So
Oh,
I
okay.
wouldn't use it in a garden setting,
Okay.
or a lawn setting for that matter. And then crimson is similar. It's not quite as tall, but it's actually bright red. It's really pretty. So if you want to plant it somewhere, I think it I think crimson may put out more or may produce more nitrogen than the other two.
Oh, yay.
Um, yeah. So, but it is going to be a larger plant that is going to take up
Sure.
more height in your garden.
Right. Ooh, Mike has a question. Have we heard of mole beans planted in the corner of the garden? What's a mole bean? don't
believe it's a bean that has a benefit, but also may is it discourages moles. I don't I don't know. I'm not sure if I've looked into those before.
I'm the worst person to ask though.
Yeah.
Because I don't know nothing of this.
Yeah, I don't know either. I can't say anything about that
I
definitively.
work on motors and I smash metal together until it fuses. Like, I don't know.
Yep. It's not my skill set. Castor bean. Yeah,
Ooh, is that what?
castor bean and mole bean, are they the same? I don't know.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but castor bean is interesting. Obviously, you can do interesting things like
Is that
make
where castor oil
poisons.
comes from?
It is, which
Oh,
is funny because the castor bean also has a massive neurotoxin in it, and so you can make a very potent poison out of it as well.
oh, oh. Well, that's fun.
Yeah, yeah. Just in case people are wondering, I think like Breaking Bad had
It
a
contains
had something
ricin.
about it.
Oh,
Yeah, ricin. There we go.
to get rid of the moles. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Got it.
Okay.
I wonder if it contains it because I know it contains it in the beans. They're the same bean. There we go.
So if it eats it,
Got
then it gets ricin poisoning.
Yeah. The interesting thing about moles and voles is I don't believe they ever really eat the roots. They're going after grubs and things in your garden, which you would think is a good thing. But what happens is they create tunnels that go right by the roots of the plants.
Sure.
And then mice use those tunnels and come in and eat the roots of the plants.
Ah, nice.
So it's not
Alright.
really the moles and voles typically that are doing the damage. It's another rodent that comes after that.
Nice.
Wait, did I join the mercenary live stream? I don't know. I didn't tell you how to make it. Just told you that you could. So yeah, what were some of the other things that you came across? Obviously there's soil fertility. Actually, maybe we haven't covered that.
I was gonna say
already.
that was really kind of my where I was trying to focus a lot because I have that dense, sticky, red clay. Was and I wanted to kind of pick your brain was I need to get it tested because I don't know what my pH is at all. Um, so I'll send it off to who was that group that you use?
It's loganlabs.com.
Logan Labs. I need to write that down.
I believe it's $35 for a soil test. So it's maybe a couple bucks more than the USDA, but they actually give you all the levels of everything available in your soil, as opposed to here's the fertilizers you should put on your soil based on what we didn't show you.
Yeah, not what we're not helpful.
Yep. No, it's not.
So I need to know what my pH is, but really I need to break it up. I need to get more microbes growing in there. So that's really what I was trying to. It's like I'll throw some plants in there, that's fine. But really, what I want to do is I want to do something to break that up and get some stuff growing in there that isn't just dead clay.
Yeah. No, get the soil going. Clay is actually extremely high in nutrients. But yeah, you need to get the microbes going for those nutrients to be handed off to the plants.
Yeah. Because okay. So I've got the grass out there, and so basically what we did was we just scraped just the grass off the top.
Mhm.
And so we've got that. So I know that grass is just going to want to come right back. And so I was trying to come up with something that I can do as a boundary plant to grow and deter the grass incursion. I know it's going to push it through, but I can at least slow it down where I can take care of it and clean it up as we go. So what would be a good boundary plant to use? Is that where like clover comes in? Is clover good?
It can be. I think anytime you have a kind of clumping rhizomial
Dense.
type,
Yeah,
it can
right.
help. My personal experience, at least, so there's a difference depending on where you live, right? If I came from Minnesota, up there, I don't have to worry about Bermuda grass, right?
Oh,
We
yeah,
do have
right.
Johnson grass, but it's actually quite a bit easier to manage than Bermuda. And so I had this idea, like you could do long, skinny gardens and it would work.
Oh, right.
Whereas here you're increasing that edge, and that just means a lot more space for Bermuda grass to push in that
Right.
you have to manage. And
Yeah, so
so
that's why so basically it's like my front walkway over to the driveway and then to that turnaround spot. So
Mhm.
3 edges are concrete. I only have the
Okay.
one live edge
Nice.
that has the grass. And that was my purpose. I'm like, this is perfect actually. Like this could work really well because then I only have one side to deal with the stupid grass.
Yep. So I'm a fan of it's a little bit pricey, but if you've got 3 edges covered already, 2 or 3 edges, you can get metal edging
Oh, and
and
just drop a wall.
yeah, exactly. As long
Who
as
shall
it's
not
about
pass?
right, 3 or more inches deep, you should be able to mostly avoid rhizomial grasses pushing up and under. And what I like to say is on the outside, take some of the clay soil that you have. So if this is the garden side and this is the outside, when you cut that line, even if you use like an edger or something to do it, you're going to have this kind of loose compaction along the outside where the grass can kind of grow down and up and under
Ooh,
initially.
right.
So take clay and pack it in really tight against that outside edge. And
Okay.
then the grasses that are growing are going to end up hitting that and not knowing where to go.
Sure. Yeah, they're not
Um,
gonna know to go down. It's not
right.
loose, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, let's go down." Yeah.
Exactly. So that's my take. And then as far as other plants, a lot of people will say like plant comfrey around the edge of your garden, and no,
Okay.
for multiple reasons, no. First of all, if you plant comfrey, especially a like hedge of comfrey along your garden, you ever decide you want to take that out, now when you go to pop it out, every like half-inch piece of root that's left in the ground will become an entirely new plant. You'll actually see it like spread
Oh,
out really fast.
oh, no.
And so if you try to dig it out, then your garden becomes a giant comfrey patch.
Oh,
So
okay. Good to
that's
know.
part of it. The other part is it doesn't really work. It works for certain weeds because it becomes this kind of living hedge. Um, but it doesn't allow a lot of things that would normally grow through because you've got a shaded space.
Sure.
So those things will largely avoid it. But things like Bermuda grass will just go right through it. It doesn't care.
Gotcha.
Because
Okay.
if you've ever put down like a sheet of something that's, let's say it's like 24 inches wide,
Yeah.
it'll just keep growing until it finds the other side of that.
Yep. Yep. So I know
And
there's lots of uses for comfrey because that was one of the ones that I'd saw pop up a bunch of times in my research. So like what are all the applications for comfrey?
oh, um,
Okay,
that's
maybe
like a
not all.
book,
Yeah.
not a show. That's like a book. Um, so comfrey tea is awesome. There's two applications of comfrey tea, so I have to explain. One is what the CDC would say will kill you, which is an actual just steep a glass of
Oh,
comfrey
okay.
leaf and drink it
Right.
or root or whatever. Which I personally do, but I can't recommend that anybody else does. And the other is where you actually take a whole bunch of comfrey leaves and you throw them in, let's say, a 55-gallon drum or a five gallon bucket.
Okay.
You fill that 5-gallon bucket all the way with comfrey leaves. Don't compact it; just kind of put them in loosely,
Okay.
and then you fill that with water. Ideally, not tap water, so well water,
Yeah, sure.
whatever isn't chlorinated,
Yeah.
and then you leave that for about 2 weeks. And when you then put a lid on it or whatever, but when you open it up, it's gonna smell like like if you've ever driven past a pig farm, that's how
Yes.
it'll smell.
Oh, oh.
It's it smells nasty, and then what you do is you take it and you pour you sieve it, you, filter it out, you pour that into another bucket, and then you dilute that about, generally speaking, anywhere from 5 to 1 to 10 to 1.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it's very potent, and then you use that to, water plants and things. So, you wanna make sure not to get it on their leaves, but you
Will it
water
burn?
the soil. It can burn, yeah, for
Oh, okay.
sure. That's part of the watering it down. If you're watering it down 10 to 1 and you do a light foliar misting, you'll probably be okay, and it can be really beneficial for your plants. It can really stimulate growth. But I might even dilute it more than that just to make sure you don't burn the plants, and you always do it at night so you don't, that's just a water on just
Yeah.
foliar spray thing.
Sure,
Um,
sure.
Other applications, comfrey is an incredible healing herb. So I make salves out of it consistently. I feed it to my chickens, feed it to my rabbits. Um,
Right.
Not as an exclusive feed, but they love it. Or I plant it around my yard and my chickens can get it, free, what do you call it? Free, whatever. They can get it when they want it.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Um,
right.
but yeah, the applications and uses, you can also aerate that comfrey tea. And
Yeah.
so by doing that, what you'll actually do is the smell will be very different, less offensive. And you aerate it for shorter period of time, so 48 to 72 hours. And what you're actually doing is you're introducing local indigenous microbes. Um, so when you do it without the aeration, they're going to be anaerobic microbes, so they won't really
Sure.
help your garden. But the anaerobic microbes, when you put it on your garden, will die off and produce and allow or basically give whatever they were made of to the plant. So it's beneficial in that sense. If
Sure.
you aerate that tea, then it becomes a aerobic mixture that goes on the plants or goes on the soil and introduces microbes, indigenous microbes that you want.
Nice. Okay.
Yep.
Right on. Yeah, I knew it. We talked a little bit about it, and I remember that it was beneficial. I was just like couldn't remember exactly why it was beneficial. So that's good to know, and I will make sure that to not like plant it as a border.
Yeah, don't plant. I don't recommend planting comfrey in your garden. I've made that mistake. You don't have to, kind of a thing.
Sure,
Um,
sure.
so yeah.
So okay, so the other ones was so like higher yield was one of the sections that it talked about like and some of this is like the three sisters
Mhm.
but like there are certain plants that just do better growing near each other.
Yeah.
There's I had some examples. So like tomato paired with basil, we talked about that, and
Mhm.
marigold, and carrots.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Like, so, like, if you grow tomatoes and you just throw in some basil and marigold and carrot, then it does better? That's wonderful.
Yeah. In fact, there's a if people wanna look up a book specifically on the topic we're talking about today, there's one called, I think it's Tomatoes Love Carrots or Carrots Love Tomatoes. It's one way or the other.
Okay.
But it's an entire book on companion planting for specifically for your garden. And carrots and tomatoes have a very, very good symbiotic relationship. So they're going to share various things that each needs. And so
Okay.
these symbiotic plants can help by giving, exudates, the carrots exudates are going to actually encourage the specific soil bacteria or microbes that the tomato needs as well. And so they become mutually beneficial to each other. So yeah, it's unfortunately here in Tennessee, it's a little hard to grow them together
Oh.
because you have to start your carrots before your tomatoes.
Oh, sure.
Otherwise, the carrots will basically be scorched by the sun through the summer.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
so you can do it. It's just harder and you have to plan it out more.
Yeah, right. And that's what I'm finding. It's like, okay, I really need to I really should have planned to or planned this a long time ago, but it just so happened that I had a guy come through with a skid steer to do some other work. I'm like, hey, while you're here, can you just cut this section here? I'm gonna make a
Yeah,
garden.
absolutely.
He was
Um,
here, 5 hour minimum. I'm like, gonna do it. It's like, sweet.
doesn't cost you any extra, right? Nice.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'd say the other thing to think about here is that what's going on with these symbiotic plants is they're also sharing mycorrhizal fungi
Okay.
in a way where both plant benefits from it. Because if you think of fungi and what's going on underneath the surface, fungi are like the highway of the soil. It's how
Hmm.
things get moved. So whether it's water, whether it's even electrical impulses,
Yeah.
um, exudates that need to go from one place to another. So plants will exudate specific sugars based on something they need, and
Wow.
that can actually travel the pathway of a mycorrhizal fungi.
That's
So that
wild.
sugar exudate can travel out until it finds a microbe that goes, I'll take that exudate and give you, the plant what it's requesting. And so these plants working together with the mycorrhizal fungi that becomes this physical network or like a grid of streets between these plants.
Right.
Different plants have a better ability to talk together or to work together with that mycorrhizal net or internet
Wow.
of sorts. So Yeah, that's why some plants do better with others than others do, and why some plants actually compete in ways that are not beneficial.
Well, yeah, and that was the other thing. Okay, so there was a couple others that were on the companion side. So like, so in the cabbage family, so broccolis and kales, onion, garlic, and dill help to deter cabbage worms and loopers. For
Mhm.
carrots, obviously tomatoes, but then onions or leeks to help to repel the carrot flies, and radishes. Sweet. Beans, corn, squash, and then for cucumbers, nasturtiums, or radishes as a trap crop. Like, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
that is awesome. And yes, I've got a thunderstorm rolling through at the
Is
moment.
that what I heard?
Yeah, that's it. Either that or I'm really hungry.
I know, right?
Um, yeah, I think all of those, it's really cool. I mean, it's such a deep area of research to see what works together and what ties together well.
Mhm.
Um, and for your region, each region is going to have kind of different ways that you could use these ideas and understandings. For example, we can basically, when in here in Tennessee in zone 7, we'll put in garlic in the fall. So let's say October, November,
Right,
and that'll kind of grow, and then when it gets really cold, it stagnates, but it's still alive.
right.
And then in the spring it takes off again and then gets harvest in, June or so. Well, what I do is basically on all of my rows that I'm going to be planting other plants in, I grow garlic through the summer or through the winter,
Oh, okay.
and it becomes a deterrent to certain pests and bugs and things
Sure.
for my, tomatoes and peppers or whatever else, until I'm ready to pull those out. So I do that with garlic and Egyptian walking onions are the two that I just basically fill those with.
So I just found out about Egyptian walking onions, and that is the coolest, weirdest alien looking, but seems delicious. Like there's so many
Yeah,
different parts that you like. It's almost like a chive, right? But then it has those
yeah.
little buds, nodule things that on the corners there that like you can pop off, and they're like little garlic cloves or something.
Yeah, so so an Egyptian walking onion is a onion that it puts like uh genetically identical onion bulbs at the end of its like at the what you would think of as a flower essentially.
Yeah.
It makes genetically identical onion bulbs. And then the way that it works or the way that it spreads is then that gets heavy and falls down. So that's
Yeah.
why they call it a walking onion.
Yeah, because it goes
Um,
"Duduk, duduk, duduk, duduk," yeah.
exactly. And so that's onions can be really tough to grow, especially when you're trying to grow other things because of the way that they overlap or don't or whatever.
Sure.
Um, and they can be kind of tough to grow here in Tennessee for various reasons, but Egyptian walking onions do amazing. So rather than planting more traditional onions, they're a little more spicy, but their greens are
Hmm,
about the greens are nice and sweet and have just a little bit of kick. And so what we'll do is we'll plant a bunch of them because they reproduce so easily,
sure.
and we'll
Because
use
you
their
can plant
greens.
each one of those little things that are on the end, right? Because 'Cause they're
Mhm.
genetically identical.
Yeah, and it'll put out like 10 of them per
Yeah.
stalk, and oftentimes it'll do 4 or 5 stalks per plant. So one bulb becomes,
Dang.
50 new plants.
Wow.
So you can eat those bulbs. They're great. They're pretty spicy. They're kind of small, so they're a little bit. It's more like a garlic clove in like a large garlic clove in size. Or you can plant them, and we really like using the greens. The other thing you can do is you can take those the hard stalks that don't seem edible, and you can actually dehydrate those and then put them in a grinder, and they make amazing onion
Onion
powder.
powder. Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome. Oh, that
yeah,
see, now I just need to get some.
yeah. Michael says he needs to find. Just reach out, man. I got him.
That's
Um,
awesome. So,
yep.
yeah, so the ones that I, kind of was surprising that were incompatible was like, okay, so tomatoes and potatoes, which I think is funny just because they sound similar that they don't go together like that. Okay. Or other nightshades like, peppers and eggplants,
Yep.
because and it's because of they if one of them gets a blight, then it just spreads through all of them. Is that kind of the idea?
Yeah, and I think there's a competitive nature between them because they're too similar
Ah,
that
They're pulling the similar nutrients. Yeah, sure. That makes sense.
Yep. So that's my understanding. There's
Sure.
probably some
And then,
other scientific reasons.
beans with onions or garlic. So we want to keep, because the onions can stunt the bean growth.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. So like, how much of a separation are we talking? Like, are we talking like just don't plant them next to each other? Are we talking like a bed apart? Or are we talking like the other side of the field?
I think if I'm not mistaken, it's like a couple of feet. So if you're
Okay.
doing them a row over, you're probably fine.
Okay. Sweet. Okay. Because I was thinking it's like, well, beans are, nitrogen fixers. I want that, but I also want onions. So eggs.
Eggplant should be
Classified as a
classified.
wheat. I personally hate this stuff.
Yeah, I don't. There are other varieties of eggplants that actually taste really good,
Are
but
they?
you
But do they have that same texture though? Oh,
no, it's a different texture and
okay.
it's a very different mouthfeel and very different taste, but they're
Okay.
just not common here.
Gotcha.
So I think they're like Asian varieties or something like that, but they're a much longer,
Not that big old
less
fat.
pithy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, I haven't tried them yet. I've heard from other people who generally hate eggplant that the other ones are good. So,
Sweet. Good to know. I'll have to look into that. So yeah, the brassicas, like the cabbage families with tomatoes because of competition for nutrients, same thing.
mhm.
Fennel inhibits most other plants grow it separately. Like, oh, okay. So apparently fennel's like, to just keep that away, I guess.
Yeah, so there's
I
a
would
lot of
use
plants that
fennel.
have yeah, it could be useful. There's a lot of plants that have compounds in them that really reduce the growth of other plants, and then there's certain plants that have, resistance to those compounds.
Right. Sure.
So, like I think it's jublung, that comes, in, black walnut trees.
Oh, yeah.
Um, a lot of things are most things don't grow well once your black walnut tree gets large enough
Sure.
and starts putting that out through the roots and through the nuts that it drops and things like that,
Mhm. And the
and even the
leaves, because it's
leaves.
covered in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But there are certain plants that are totally unaffected by it, and they tend to be pioneer species plants as well.
Mm.
So, yeah, I mean, I've got berries planted by my black walnut trees, and so far they've done just fine. That might change as the trees get larger, but
Oh, yeah,
uh,
yeah.
it's interesting because there's some things just have had found ways to overcome or just aren't affected by those negative impacts. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And
a lot
then
of
the other one was, asparagus and onions. Like,
mhm,
they mutually inhibit each other. Like, "Oh, that sucks," 'cause, well, I really like both of those. Like,
yeah,
darn. So I'm like, "Okay, well, this bed over here is gonna have to have the asparagus, and that one over there will have the onions, and we'll be fine."
right, yeah, and it's good to know, as people are looking at putting their gardens together, and as you're thinking about putting various plants together in a polyculture as opposed to kind of a
Monocultures and
traditional
line. Yeah.
monoculture. Thinking about what grows well together can and doing a little bit of research so you don't make the mistake of, I don't know, planting a bunch of fennel with your corn or
Yeah, right?
whatever mistake you might make.
Yeah, and then, like, the timing, spacing between them, having flowers, like having the marigolds and, what was some of the other ones? Nasturtiums, um, Asilium, um, for, attractors for pollinators. I was like, "Oh, yeah,
Mhm,
that does make sense because my focus is like, "Oh, well, I just need anything that's edible." Like, well,
right.
no, because I need, critters to come and pollinate the stuff too. It's not it's not just about
Yeah.
edible.
Well,
Okay.
interestingly, nasturtium is, edible as well, and so,
Fancy.
you know, certain varieties of marigold, nasturtium is interesting. It's like a kind of a spicy it's got a bit of a kick.
Ooh, cool.
Um, it won't grow real long here in Tennessee. The further north you get, the better it'll do because it hates our hot summers. But
Huh.
yeah, it's a it's a great plant for your garden.
Oh, Mike has a question. He's got wild asparagus growing next to his garden. Should he leave it or attempt to move it? How
I'd leave
difficult
it.
is Huh?
I'd
Did
leave
you
it.
Oh, I say,
Um,
how difficult is it to relocate, and what are the considerations for, like, why you would or wouldn't?
Okay. So it can be kind of hard to relocate because it's going to have really deep roots, and so you
Ooh,
have to dig this giant ball around it
gotcha.
to get it out, and you'll be stunting it probably for a year when you transplant it. So you'll be waiting a year before you get. You really just shouldn't harvest from it. You probably could, but you shouldn't. So, but I would leave it. I mean, as long as you're not growing onions in amidst your asparagus, you're probably fine.
Sure, sure.
And it's probably the wild stuff is generally going to be very close to like a Mary Washington. So
Is
that's
that a
great that you've got some
species?
wild. Yeah.
Okay.
Mary Washington is probably the most common. That's if you get asparagus from the grocery store, that's probably that.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of the wild stuff it's very close to that.
Gotcha. So what are your some of your favorite companion plants to do? Because when we were at the Mennonite place, we're going through like going back to conversations we've had is what do I actually eat? What do I
Mhm.
actually want to have? Because I could plant all these things, but I don't eat them, so that's silly. So based off of your diet and what you use, what kind of companion plants do you use?
Okay, so, one of the big ones I use is comfrey,
Okay.
and it's not in the garden. I typically do it for trees. When I'm planting trees, I will plant comfrey at the base of the trees.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so as the tree is growing, I can chop and drop and leave that there for the tree, or I can use it to make comfrey tea or, something else. I can also use it for medicinal purposes for myself, and it's
Right.
gonna help, but I can also take that and I can put it in the garden. So they call it uh, not a mineral accumulator, it's a bioaccumulator. So
Oh,
it's got a deep taproot. It's gonna bring a lot of stuff up from lower. That's gonna be helpful for that tree as it grows. Um, but I can use it for a lot of other things. Um, Carrots are a good one if you can get them going. That's the hardest thing,
sure.
because you have to plant them so early that it's often too cold for them to start, and you really can't transplant carrots. But when they take, on the years that they take, you can get a lot of seed for a very low price. And
Mm,
basically, you can plant out your rows where you're going to be doing tomatoes and peppers and other stuff, and have them seeded with carrots. So that's a really great easy one.
nice. Yeah.
Um, so when they do take at the right time, and then I like garlic and walking onions in those spaces as well because
Mhm.
they're pretty deterrent for a lot of things. So and then I'm growing more than one crop in the same space.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and that was one of the things that I was looking into. It was by having a we'll say denser population, just the ground is being shaded, and then that was inhibiting some of the grasses and things growing in. I was like, oh well, that actually makes sense because I've growing up, you're used to the victory garden, right? You got all your
Mhm.
row, and then you've got your spacing, 8 inches, 10 inches, 12 inches, but that leaves a lot of room in between for these other weeds to come in. It's like,
Yep.
oh, cool. I like
Yeah.
that.
The way I like to do it is I do the spacing roughly what you're talking about, where your tomatoes would be, X number of feet apart. Maybe it's 2 or 3 feet apart, maybe 3 feet. But then I'll
Right.
plant something between them
Yeah, exactly.
because I use trellises, and
Yep.
then I can plant, let's say, a pepper plant or a cucumber between them. And generally, I like something that's bushing. So bush bean or pepper plant between the two tomato plants or between two cucumber plants. So we've got one that vines and grows up, and then another one in between the two that I can tie to the trellis.
Mm,
So it's more of a bush size, so it's not getting as tall as the others.
sure.
And then in between those is where I start to put things like marigolds or nasturtiums or even lettuces.
Yeah.
So because they'll provide some shade for the lettuce or the other greens that I'm planting. So that allows me to put a lot of different things in kind of the same space because they're growing in different height spaces, different space in height there. So
Right.
that's how I prefer to do it, and I find that that's generally the most productive.
Nice. Yeah, we got some 16-foot cattle panels so that we could do some like archway type, for them to climb up. And so we get all these cattle panels. We're like, okay, cool. We go to the place, we get all of our plants. I didn't get a single vining anything. It's like, wait a minute, wasn't that kind of the point where we were going to get stuff to grow up this? Like, okay, we got to go back and get like cucumbers or something that'll
Yeah.
climb these.
Well,
suckers.
indeterminate tomatoes work as well. So if you got those.
Nice. Like it.
So if anybody's confused, this is one of those starter things, but people have to start somewhere. So
yeah,
indeterminate tomatoes, or indeterminate anything for that matter, means it's vining. It means it just continues to grow. Whereas, cucumbers, beans, tomatoes, they'll have indeterminate varieties, and then they'll have bush varieties, which basically grow into a kind of a bush. They tend to ripen at a similar time, and those are generally made for field growth, so you can grow something in a field and then come through with a mechanical harvester. But they can be really helpful in the garden. Like I said, growing a bush bean between your two tomato plants lets you use that extra space without pulling away from the tomato plants.
Yep. Oh, I have heard of this one. So minnow planting with watermelon, corn, and pumpkins. So what was that? Was like an old school, like 1700s thing, wasn't it? Like that you'd plant and throw a couple like fish in with the seeds and allow it to decompose or something.
Yeah. So I'm trying to remember the story. Like there's a book that outlines how a Native American showed some kid how to do this. But the idea is if you take a fish and you throw it in the bottom of the hole of the thing you're planting, it will grow like crazy because you have all the nutrient that fish is collected, and then it's broken down underneath the plant. Yeah, you can do this. I've done this with after harvesting meat chickens.
Yeah.
I've taken all the guts, I've dug out a big channel, poured them in there, put some dirt over top, let it sit for a little while, and then planted plants on top of that. And that worked great. So
I like it. Good one. I like it.
So cast net minnows. Yeah.
One seed in the mouth of each minnow and plant. Sure. It's in that little thing, it's decomposing. So it's got all those nutrients and it just like flourishes.
Yeah. That's an interesting one. I've never heard of that, but I don't see why it wouldn't work.
Yeah. Right. What did Mom say? Oh, yeah. Peas will climb. Yeah. I got to get to them. They are a cool weather crop. Yeah. And my kids, that was like the driving force. Like we want to have the archways because the kids want to be able to run through there and just grab handfuls of peas and go.
Right. I love
okay,
that.
We can do that.
Yeah, and there are peas that are a little bit more resilient to the heat that we get here, but any of the sugar peas, snap peas, things like that tend to be really tasty. Are a little harder to grow because you hit that summer heat and they're done.
Yeah. Well, and that was the other thing. So where I am, it's gonna be pretty sunny most of the day, and so I was like, oh no, that's a shade, like, oh, that's not gonna work. I was like, oh. So
this is a good point. Yeah. So passion fruit, which I would never grow in a garden because it will take over.
Oh, really?
Okay. Fighting it forever. But passion fruit, you like just find it out in your field and let it go. If you mow around it for a bit, you'll get it's great. But loofahs, that's a really good point. Loofahs are a great natural. Basically, you can use them like a loofah.
Yeah.
So loofah squash are amazing, and I'm actually a big fan of them. They're easy to plant. They grow like crazy. You get a ton of them. One plant should make you enough on an arch. Should make you enough loofah squash that you can use them basically have enough for your year's worth of loofahs in the for your shower or whatever.
Dang, that's awesome.
So, yeah, I like them a lot. Was introduced to them a few years ago.
Yeah, I saw those, and then there's the what's it called? It's ginger shampoo or something like that. It's just like it's more for further south than us, but it's like this. It looks like a pine cone, but it's like soft, and you squish it and it like exudes all of this like goopy, and I guess it's a shampoo substitute. I'm like,
oh, okay.
It looks really weird, but it looks kind of cool.
So do you remember Carrie Brown we had on the show a while back?
Yeah.
I was doing a wild edible walk with him. So he was talking about wild edibles. And
Nice.
one of the things he pointed out is English ivy, which
Yeah.
apparently has what is essentially a surfactant in it. So
Really?
if you take the leaves, you can actually extract um, you can throw in a whole bunch of leaves in like a cloth bag,
Yeah.
throw them in your laundry, and it will essentially be a soap for your laundry.
Whoa.
And I don't know if I assume there's some way you could extract all,
I was gonna say that I
extraction if
just
you want to.
want to crush it and find out what comes out the
Yeah.
other end.
But apparently you can take, 3 or 4 leaves, get your hands wet and start doing this. And you do
Yeah.
it long enough, you'll start to get a really nice lather.
Whoa.
Um, yeah.
Dang. Growing up, we had small and large English ivy, and I fussed with it quite a bit, but I never thought of doing that. That's cool.
Why would you?
Well, yeah, good, fair point. Yes, Mike, I want to do a muscadine archway so badly. I cannot even describe. After having had muscadines, I'm here for it. Like, bro, yes.
Yep. And there's also they've now got like Concord or other table grape that they've crossed with muscadine.
No.
So it's mold and mildew resistant, which is a big
Yes.
issue with grapes here.
Right.
But it's got the thinner skin of a table grape.
Ooh, that
So
would be amazing.
yeah, I've got a couple of them planted on my property. Probably take cuttings at some point if you want.
Yay.
But they haven't produced yet, so I don't know what that's going to look like. But
Sure.
I'm pretty excited for them. I got those from Matt Hunley, who we should probably have on the show at some point.
Sweet. Yeah.
He's another guy who does what I do. He helps people set up homesteads.
Oh, nice. Where's he at?
Well, he used to be west of Nashville, but now he's actually moved to Oregon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So very different climate, but that's
On
where he grew up,
purpose?
so he knows it. Yeah, he moved to be closer to family, I think.
Okay. I guess that's a
We'll
good
excuse
reason.
it for this time. How many vines? See what this question is. How many vines would you like? Oh, nice.
Mike has muscadines and pawpaws. Yes, he's got, and they're wonderfully delicious. He brought me
Awesome.
some, and yes, I enjoyed them all.
Muscadines make great wine. For those who care.
Oh, that would be good.
And probably even better mead. If you
I
wanna
was
go
just
down
thinking
road.
that. I was like, oh, but mead. Like,
Yeah.
I haven't ever tried mead, but the more I've been getting into, all these other things, like I should probably at some point just try making some just because.
Yeah. It's really good. The other, I mean, it's basically honey wine is the other way to express what mead is. And Mike mentions pawpaws. I've really wanted to, I don't like the texture of pawpaws, but I like the taste of pawpaws.
Sure.
And so I've wondered if you could make some type of, something else
It has
out
the
of them.
flavor.
Yeah. And a mead or something might be that, or it might be terrible. Who knows?
Yeah, that's true. I've heard some just awful ones. They're like, oh, this should be good, but it was not. Like, nope.
No.
It brought out all of the wrong things.
Then there's persimmon mead is one I want to do, a wild persimmon mead.
Ooh, that
think
would
that'd
be
be really
good. Nice.
So, but we have moved off the target, I think.
We have a little bit.
So we talked a little bit about Three Sisters, and
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea, but you run into one problem, which is actually a few problems. So that the idea of Three Sisters. So let's step back and talk about what that is supposed to do, and for teaching purposes, I think it's valuable and can be a useful system. But the idea is you've got corn, which is a high nitrogen item that's going to grow up really quickly, and the beans, which are a nitrogen fixer, which will climb that corn. You
Right.
can do the same thing with sunflowers, same idea.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure.
Yep. And so then the squash is now a ground cover and it suppresses the weeds.
Mhm.
And this all kind of works, but the problem is you need to plant corn pretty densely for it to pollinate properly, so that
Oh,
you
okay.
get all the kernels on the ear.
Right.
And planting in the Three Sisters system, I think the idea is actually that you put a bunch of corn in one spot and then you plant beans around that and then squash around that.
Oh,
But what
okay.
most people think of is you
Is an
plant
individual.
yeah, and that's what the beans climb. And what'll happen is you'll get too much shading for the beans to climb up the corn, and because you're using the beans and allowing them to mature, you're not actually really getting the nitrogen fixation that you would from
Right.
the bean plant if you're cutting
Because
it
you're not
down.
cutting it off and allowing those nodules to release.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Um, and the squash is a high nitrogen plant too, so I don't think it works as well as a lot of people expect it to, at least in the way that they imagine it's being done.
Sure.
And
Sure.
that's where something like taking fish and putting them in the bottom of the pile, planting quite a few, like corn plants in a little bit larger circle so they're close to each other, and then potentially running beans up the outside just because it'll the beans will actually bind those corn together and keep them from falling over in the wind, which
Oh,
is
hey.
beneficial.
Yeah.
Um, and then squash that's a little bit out further where it's not robbing the nutrients for the corn.
Sure.
And you do all that in kind of a mound. That can work well, but what most people think of as being Three Sisters, which is more like planting corn and then interplanting these other things in the way you normally plant corn, just it's not going to work.
Gotcha.
So,
No, that makes good sense. Yeah.
yeah.
Huh. That's cool. Yeah, and that's the thing, is like, as I was diving into this, like, it was just this unending rabbit hole. It was like, the further in I went, it's like, "Oh, yeah, and there's this. Oh, but don't do that, and, oh, but there's this," and, like, I'm, like, trying to arrange this in my head of, like, what this ultimate garden looks like, and then all of that kinda got thrown out the window because I was like, "Wait, but I'm in, Van Buren County, Tennessee, which is different, and this, I have to plant these way earlier or these way later than what they're saying," and I
Yeah,
don't
which
know.
this is an interesting thing. So, you had mentioned early on about using Grok to kind of pull
Yeah,
some of this information.
yeah,
And what you can do, if you're comfortable using AI, that is you can create a custom GPT agent or other, AI agent of some sort, and you can feed it all the information like your zone, your state, your soil types. You can even throw your soil test at it when you go through
mm,
Logan Labs. Just
yes,
upload it to this agent, and you put in all the different things that you're doing and you train it towards your specific situation, and then you can ask it things like, okay, if I wanted to plant, carrots and tomatoes together, what are ways I could do that? Or what are, how would that not, how would that work well or not work well,
sure.
given everything you know about my situation?
Yeah, because, yeah, I need to know, what do I need to plant in order to amend my soil effectively so that I
Mhm.
can be more efficient in the long run, because, like, several couple of weeks ago, we were talking about, like, we're planning for future generations. I wanna have, build a garden that is, fixing the soil and making it more productive over time, not just, throwing some chemicals at it so that it'll produce something this year.
Right. And one thing I would say on that is throwing maybe some organic chemical fertilizer might be not be quite the right name, but
Right.
like organic 10-10-10 used sparingly so you don't throw things off can
Yeah.
actually help because you're getting a root base and a fungal base for everything to grow from next year. And so
Okay.
I've
So to
worked with
start with, that's okay?
yes, just being careful with it. So not becoming reliant on it, not putting so much on that you're going to um, make plants think that they have more stuff than they do, or
Oh, sure.
NPK is NPK. It's not all the other minerals that are needed. So know what your base is, do your Logan Labs test and figure out what might be majorly missing. And I'd be more for adding the amendments first and then looking at, okay, maybe I can use a little bit of, you know, 10-2-2 or something like that that's going to um allow things to grow to put that nice root base in,
Right.
And then that will give, especially over the winter and things, that will give uh, the pathway for the mycorrhizal fungi and things to get on those roots and start making its way through the soil. So it can jumpstart you, but you don't want to, you wouldn't drive your car around with a giant battery jump pack always connected to it,
Is
right?
it-
You wouldn't run your car on that,
right.
but you might get your car going with that.
Sure. Sure.
You also wouldn't use, more voltage than your car should have, and so like that with your garden, you don't want to overdo it because you can put it in a stressed state or a
Yeah.
state where it's reliant on those inputs.
Sure.
But yeah, to jumpstart it, a little bit of organic fertilizer can be really helpful.
Sweet. Yeah, I mean this first season, or this first cycle, I'm not necessarily anticipating getting much out of it because it was really just getting the ground established and figuring
Mhm.
out that, and then next year we'll get an earlier start on everything and know a little bit better what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, and that way you can, in the winter, you can take cardboard and wood chips
Yep.
if you can get them, and do the full covering in the fall. Maybe even take plants out a little earlier than they have to be, so you get
Yeah,
a nice long period of ground cover before next spring.
absolutely.
And that's actually a great time to amend is in the fall when you put down, if you are putting
Oh,
down cardboard and wood chips,
right.
put down your amendments that your soil needs based on your testing, and then cover it. And then you're going to have worms come up and bring that down throughout the whole winter.
Worms, thank you. That was another thing I saw was some guy took, it was, I think it was like a 4-inch PVC pipe, drilled holes through the bottom half ish, and then
Mhm.
like buried it in the ground, and he has like a cap on it, and that's where he was putting all of his waste from his house
Yeah.
down in there, and then he would just relocate it when it filled up, and it was to draw the worms in so that they would leave their castings in his garden.
Worm towers, yes.
Yeah.
The thing there is, so that requires something called red wrigglers or red wigglers or whatever you
Okay.
want to call it, or a similar composting worm. So most earthworms that would just be in your soil are not a composting worm; they're an earthworm. So
Okay.
there's a difference.
Gotcha.
Um, Whereas red wigglers they're a composting worm, and so they do live in the soil, but they need something decomposing in the soil to be active and alive.
Ooh. Okay.
So they will work with they don't actually eat, let's say you stick lettuce down in there. They don't actually eat the lettuce. They eat all the life that eats the lettuce.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And they become like a ruminant is an arc for microbiome, the microbiome of the soil.
Yeah. Right.
So are these worms. So as they're eating the things that eat the stuff, that eat your lettuce or whatever else
Yeah. Yeah.
in that worm tower, um, they're basically increasing the biology, and then they're taking it elsewhere,
Right.
depositing it in your soil. Another way to do this over the winter is if you plant radishes, specifically tillage radish or daikon radish.
Yeah.
If you plant those late in the season, they grow up, and then when you cover your garden, you cover the radish.
That's funny. My
It's a
mom
worm
just posted
tower.
that.
Oh, nice. That's great. Ratha, you're right on. Nailed it. So yes, daikon radish it'll become a like a natural worm tower. So
No
you don't have to
kidding.
put a pipe in.
Oh,
Um,
sweet. I like
Now
that.
go ahead.
I like that. That's cool.
Yeah. No, I tend to give, my kitchen scraps to my chickens. If you
Yeah.
don't have chickens, then this makes sense. So it really is just situation dependent, but yeah, it can work quite well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love it. Cool. Well, I think we covered everything that I had really pulled out. Is there anything else about, companion plants that you wanted to?
I don't think so. I think for those who haven't heard of this before, it'll give them a little bit of a primer and at least something to kind of start digging into. One thing I would say is that as people are thinking about doing this in their own gardens, e- do it with like kind of the scientific method in mind. So try a little change, watch it, and observe, interact, the principles we've talked about before.
Yeah.
Make slow and small changes, and then as you make those changes, watch what happens. And so if you get a ton more tomatoes, maybe you do some experiments in one row and you're like,
Oh yeah.
wow,
Right. Sure.
my tomatoes were bigger, tastier, produced a lot more, whatever. Or, these plants kind of seem stunted, or like, just experiment with it, but be aware of what your experiment is and try not to change too many variables at once so that you can
Yes.
determine what made the difference that you're seeing.
Sure. Absolutely. Is there any suggested reading? You'd mentioned that the tomato loves carrots or whatever.
Yeah, Carrots Love Tomatoes is, I
Yeah.
think, what it is. So yes, that's a really well-known book. Books always come with caveats, and the caveat with this one is it's region dependent. So
Sure.
it will tell you all these things that go well together, but it might be, it works great in Oregon and that's where this person's from, or
Yeah.
so take it with a grain of salt as you read through it. And that's true with any of these books, any type of gardening, any type of techniques. There's going to be subtleties that make it work or not work. And some of that's going to be location specific, soil specific,
Right.
what you actually like to eat specific. So just be aware of that and be willing to realize that something, you might need to modify something if it doesn't work when you try it.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
What about you, Jared? You got anything else you wanted to cover as far as this is concerned?
No, I think we covered all the stuff that all my research from the last 48 hours.
Yeah. Well, we had tons of comments. People were really, really pitching in there, and we love
It's awesome.
having the community share their voices, share their thoughts. That's
Their experiences,
great.
and yes, that's the idea.
So many that we couldn't even get to all of them.
I know, right?
Just you guys were awesome. Anyways, yeah, Jared, do you want to let people know where they can find you, what you do, all that?
Absolutely. So I am Jared Wilson. I own and run Resilient Living. So we are a small store right on 111 between Sparta and Spencer. You can catch us online on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. Resilient Living is our website, resilientliving.com. So we sell survival gear, camping gear, outdoor gear, guns, ammo, knives, a little bit of everything. I've got kind of a fun little store. So that's basically what I do.
Awesome. Well, and everybody, if you remember, Jared and I are doing this as a podcast too. So you might be watching it on YouTube or Facebook or whatever, but you could be listening to this while you're planting your garden, because we've now got a podcast feed set up. Jared, do you want to talk just a tiny bit about where people can find that?
So we've got the feed is set up through Spotify. I'm in the midst of getting it set up to send to YouTube Music, or not YouTube Music, Amazon Music, and iTunes. So it will soon be available everywhere.
Yes, all the RSS feeds will.
All the RSS feeds. Soon. Yes.
But for now, if you want to listen, it's Resilient Living, no G.
Right.
And you can look it up on Spotify. I believe you have to use quotation marks to find it.
Yeah, there's several other podcasts. They're all about like mental health, which is good, but like it's not us. It's not as cool.
Yeah, we don't care about mental health.
Go get in your garden. It'll help your mental health.
Yeah, get some grounding in. All right. So I'm Ryan Steva. I am the Homestead Consultant, and you can find me at thehomesteadconsultant.com. If you're watching this, it's a good chance you're watching it on my YouTube channel. And if you find it and you're watching it, please give us a like and a subscribe if you find this information helpful, because that really helps us reach more people. And if you need help on your homestead, that's the kind of thing I do. So especially if you're kind of in Middle Tennessee, Southern Central Kentucky, etc., I really love coming out to people's homesteads and helping them get things set up more efficiently so you get more production out of less effort. which is really what today was about, wasn't it?
Exactly. I was like, and that's kind of what, we approach it from different perspectives. Like you're, hands on, you're helping them in there. I'm trying to figure out like equipment size, like what can help you to solve your problems. So we really kind of do the same kind of thing, just from different perspectives.
Yep, absolutely. So, all right. Well, thank you everybody for being here. Again, if you like what you're watching, please subscribe. We do all kinds of informational videos and things, and would love to see you on the next one next Tuesday at 7.
Yep. All right. We'll see you later.